Hey, right now I'm in the relative or the genuine placidity of the park after being at the game today. Amazing game. This team's playing really, really well. Suffice to say, when you go 15-1, you're playing pretty good. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about Domingo Herman because I just think, he's interesting. And going into the game today, my concern with his three-quarter kind of delivery, little like kind of sidewinded delivery, was him locating against left-hand hitters, and the Indians I think are better against righty pitching because you turn Lindor and Ramirez around to the left side where they have more power, and it makes Alonso dangerous as well. And most of their outfielders are lefty hitters. You got Naquin in there. Greg Allen making his debut. I mean, that was actually really interesting for me because I've been reading about Allen on minor league ball for, it seems like a while. And I always felt like he's an interesting prospect, speed guy, potential leadoff hitter. I had no idea he was playing today because Zimmer hit the wall hard, so they bought him up. So that was kind of cool to see him in the lineup. It was just the game was amazing. The pitching was so top notch. I mean, I've been so impressed by the right-handed starters the Yankees have been facing during this tough stretch. You know, Charlie Morton, Justin Verlander, and yesterday Bauer was terrific, and some tough at-bats and shaky defense got him the loss. And Clevenger today, I mean, I hadn't really seen Clevenger. He's got some funk, but the biggest thing I learned from watching him in person is this phenomenal differential between his breaking ball and what really seems like a biting two-seam fastball sinker to generate a lot of ground balls. And we have that differential, and then the pitch to get the ground ball. I mean, you're in good shape. You're going to get a lot of outs. And he's been great, and he looks like the real thing. I mean, it doesn't look like, kind of like early season, flukish success whatsoever for Clevenger. Because, to this point, he's been an intriguing talent and had not, fully established himself as a top-level right-hand starter. And he's really seems on his way to doing that. And he was impressive today. And they've been just facing, watching like judges at like, it's just one righty after another can really spin it, and a lot of deception between fastball, slider. So tough league. That's why not everybody hits three. It's really, and it's interesting. I mean, I've been seeing so much good pitching of late, and you do have some staffs which top to bottom aren't overly impressive, but I'm really wondering if it's going to be a pitching-friendly year overall in the league. I don't think I would be really surprised if in the next 10 years there was another year like 2014 where offense was really, really down. But between the relievers generating so much strikeouts and starting pitchers are... both relievers and starters just seem so on top of the analytics and their own performances and like what works, and it's hard to get a fastball, man. I mean, even today, like a fastball strike to do damage. But even today, I noticed the way the Yankees pitched Ramirez after he hit Robertson on a 3-2 fastball. There was a particular moment in the game where Ramirez was up and Herman just would not give him the fastball he was looking for. Just kept throwing breaking ball, changeup. Another thing, like batting average, I noticed today Alonso was hitting like around 200. Like, I wouldn't be surprised batting averages are pretty low. And OPSs are going to correspondingly drop or be slugging heavy. So that's like something to watch, really, because I've just been, I know the Yankees have been facing good teams, and good teams have good pitching staffs, but whoa, like some really good pitching going on. And to close this out, I do want to talk about Herman, because Herman's like a really intriguing, I use that word, I'm interesting, intriguing. Following him I was excited to see they got Herman. To be honest, I really didn't like the Prado for Eovaldi trade when it happened. You know, you have those like gut reactions to things, and they were coming off a year in 2014 where they really struggled offensively. And when they got Prado, he was this nice line drive bat, played with a lot of fire, and was also versatile, so you could play him at second or third base. And they had also just acquired Didi, and I really like the idea of kind of ensconcing Didi with two veterans on the infield and Headley at third and Prado at second. And I also was not interested in seeing more Steven Drew at bats, though we got plenty more that year after Prado was traded. So like the thing of it is like I had like a gut reaction to that trade that was pretty negative. I never really did warm up to Eovaldi, even though he pitched really, really well in the second half of 2015. And I feel like I was always kind of hard on Eovaldi because I just couldn't, it drove me crazy how he had such a great fastball. And, you know, due to kind of not an inability, I shouldn't say that, but like just like the kind of subtleties of changing speeds and working both sides of the plate, like I would just kind of look at him and see a thrower. But paradoxically, for like a long time, when you said that about a guy, because he couldn't throw strikes, and Eovaldi actually threw strikes that were too good, they were center cut. But all that being said, I mean, in the second half of 2015, he was a major reason why that team made the playoffs. So I was already pretty wrong about the trade, you know, going on 2015. But something that did kind of soothe my anxiety, which is hard to do in most cases, about that trade. There's a bird, that's nice. Was getting Herman, and it kind of, you know, they kind of got him, I guess you could call it a throw-in, but he had pitched really, really well, I think, in high A the year before the Yankees got him in 2014. I really liked the strikeout to walk ratio. I was actually just thinking on the way here, when I was driving here, I was like, it reminded me of something. It actually really, really reminded me, I believe that was Vicente Campos, who they got in the Pineda trade, who was kind of the second righty they got in that trade, and who also had a great strikeout to walk ratio in the low minors. And also when they got Luis Cessa, I really liked his numbers because, you know, you always like to see a guy striking guys out, not walking guys, because it shows a felicity or a tendency to throw strikes and challenge hitters, and also that you can throw your secondary stuff over the plate if you're not like walking a ton of guys. So, you know, and it's funny too because, you know, Campos had trouble staying healthy, and Cessa just hasn't really established himself basically on the major league level. He's got a major league arm, but his command, you know, ironically, because he has such good strikeout to walk numbers, his command can kind of float in and out. So like those guys, you know, just because they're great in high A doesn't mean it's going to, you know, translate or blossom. Obviously, it's not that simple. Otherwise, like player evaluation would be easier. But I do remember saying to myself about Herman, like, I like this guy's numbers. I'd never seen him pitch. But I was like, you know, a guy like that, if he turns into like a solid starter like 3 or 4 years from now, then of course, you know, the trade is going to be a huge win. So even though I was kind of like, you know, upset about losing Prado, who I really liked, I was like, all right, let's see how it plays out. Then in spring training, actually, in his first spring training with the Yankees, Herman leaves the start and needs Tommy John surgery. So you kind of, you know, like lose track of him. And then he comes back, and I remembered him as the guy with the good, you know, whip in high A, and I followed him. The thing about Herman that's like interesting to me is that he doesn't look like a classic like top prospect pitcher because he has that 3/4 delivery, and it almost looks kind of, you know, he almost looks kind of stiff. Sometimes he doesn't like have like a kind of lively like body, you know, that you would associate with like, you know, someone like Severino, or like going back like Tim Lincecum. I'm just spitballing names here, but like you want like a pitcher, the more athleticism you seem to project, the more you can imagine the guy repeating his delivery and commanding his pitches. So like you look at the fact that like he kind of has that unconventional like whip like motion, and the fact that he'd been injured and lost like a year, I think a year and a half of development time, and you can really see like how this guy would be like completely overlooked, despite the fact that last year in AAA he was great. And I actually said on Twitter during the winter, I was like, if this guy hadn't had Tommy John, but he did, but if he hadn't, and he was a couple years younger, if you were like 22 or 23, instead of being 25, he'd be talked about as like a top prospect. And that's where like age bias comes into it. I think I might have talked about that a little bit on a previous like episode here, but like, just in terms of a guy in his early 20s seems more projectable, you can dream on him more. But like between, the arm injury, the funky motion, the injury in his past, I, he was a little inconsistent, I would say, like last year in his like, brief appearances with the team. But I'm a Herman fan, and it was really just fun to watch him do what he did today. Still, come with me. Come on. We got a dog off the leash. I think I said previously how annoying that is, but it's leaving. I can't stand that, man. Just, why not? No. It's not even like off the leash. It's like when the person looks like they don't even have a leash handy. If shit goes down, that's what really bugs me. But anyway, because I'm not like technically like walking her right now, but she's, if anything happens, I can grab her. So like going into the start today, and with like that kind of crossfire delivery he has, like David Cohn was talking during one of his relief appearances, like, this guy might have some trouble throwing to both sides of the plate because his ball seems to always tail into righty, to left-handed hitters, and which is a danger zone, and always tails away to righties, which can get predictable if you're, throwing everything on the outside corner to a right-handed hitter. So like I was a little concerned by the matchup. I was wondering if Lindor, Ramirez, or Alonso was going to do damage. So like what happens? The guy comes out absolutely dealing, has a great first inning, and you saw how he pitched. I don't necessarily need to recap. He was mixing the changeup, which I love. He throws that changeup any old time he wants to for a strike. I'm not sure, like someone's got to like tell me if it's a slider or a curve. I call what he throws a curve. It might be more of a slider, his bender. But again, throwing that for a strike too, which you love. But the biggest thing that kind of impressed me, because, given that was my concern going into the game, he comes out and he breaks several bats of left-handed hitters. So he was, not missing middle in, and he was getting it in, and it had movement, and it was, it seemed appetizing enough for the hitters to appeal, to commit to swinging at it, and they got their bats broken. So just terrific. You obviously can't wait to see him get on the mound again. He's just, the relief appearance against the Astros was superb. This outing was superb. Chill the fuck out if you think he shouldn't have come out of the game. We're talking about a guy who already has a Tommy John surgery, but he's been working out of the bullpen, so you had to keep him on a pitch count limit. So people got to chill with that, man. But you don't get like those kinds of emotional reactions from me. I was trying to tell a couple people around me, but these are the same people who want to like DFA Betances, even though he has like the best strikeout rate of his career, and is basically keeps allowing like these weird singles. It's almost like BABIP's taking revenge on him for having such a low hits to innings ratio throughout his career. It's like, you're gonna give up some singles this year, Mr. Betances. But I'm not really that worried about Dellin, because as long as he's not walking guys, he's going to be effective. And I thought, today I really don't put that on him. I think it might be a little too much to ask him to go 2 innings. I think he's showing that. He did that really effectively in 2014, but that was 4 years ago. And he has had like some mechanical problems since then. I think Dellin's the kind of guy where you line him up for that 1 inning, and you hope like all the engines are running and all the mechanics are in place, and you get that inning out of him, and then you move on, because he's like not a guy like Chad Green who just has like an easy time like repeating his motion. So there's a little bit on Dellin. I'm a big Dellin fan, so it kind of pisses me off when people talk shit about him. This is like a New York City kid who really battled through the minor leagues. He had an arm injury. He looked like he was going to be waived. And the Yankees convert. They didn't give up on him, and they converted him to a reliever. And he's been one of the best relievers in baseball going back to 2014. Is he as good as he was in 2014 and 2015 now? Probably not. But like, is he still a weapon? Yes. And what fans don't understand is this guy aggravates you with his pitching style, or that he walks guys, and you think you don't want him on the team. But what you don't realize is that the chances that someone better takes those innings is really low. You're talking about the middle innings, so it's not going to happen. But anyway, that's the end of my spiel. I promise I won't yell at you too often. Take it easy. Have a good one.